Tonight, remembering a Buffalo broadcasting legend.
Topping tonight's Eyewitness News.
The patriarch of 7 Eyewitness News, Irv Weinstein, has died. Tonight we'll look back on his life, his career, and his impact on everyone in Western New York.
Good evening. We have some sad news to bring you tonight from the 7 Eyewitness News family. Longtime anchor Irv Weinstein passed away in California this morning at the age of 87.
It was Irv who led this station through the golden age of television and beyond.
Here is Irv Weinstein. Topping tonight's Eyewitness News. Topping tonight's Eyewitness News. Topping tonight's Eyewitness News.
And that's the way he began the broadcast each night for 34 years here on Channel 7. He wasn't exactly a matinee idol. He didn't have a smooth, deep voice. But when paired with Rick Azar and Tom Jones, it was television magic. Irv was the headliner from 1964 through 1998, and for most of those years, the #1 rated newscast in Western New York.
Hey, that's Irv Weinstein, Channel 7 Eyewitness News. Hey, I watch you every night, Irv. Him too. That story on Channel 7 Eyewitness News film. Shut up, will you? Hey, Irv, I love that little joke you do every night before I hit the sack. Oh, I gotta tell you, Irv, you do it right. You do some good job.
Eyewitness News with Irv Weinstein. Some good job.
He was born Irwin Weinstein in Rochester in 1930. He got into radio as an actor, and then moved on to jobs in Iowa and West Virginia, and then landed in the news department at KB Radio here in Buffalo in 1958. And then a few years later, he moved over to the new TV station in town.
My wife is always asking me, when are you going to grow up? And I tell her never.
Apparently, the .22 caliber killer has struck again.
Irv was famous for his use of the alliteration, those pistol-packing punks, and the Buffalo Blazebusters. People remembered those lines, especially since it was the golden age of television. No cable, no satellite, no internet, just a few stations over the air.
It should make a lot of people happy, especially those South Buffalo residents who've been long-suffering victims of those two dreaded diseases, dirty wash and flaming eyeballs.
From 1965 on, there was no looking back. Irv, Rick, and Tom were in their prime. They made up one of the longest-running TV news teams in the country. 24 years together, when Rick finally became the first to retire in 1989. Irv stayed for another 9 years, and then wrapped things up on New Year's Eve, 1998.
Finally.
I can never thank you enough. You made all of my dreams come true. May all of yours come true as well. Thank you, and good night.
Irv spent his retirement years with his children in Southern California. But then in March of 2016, he was diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. We went out to see him one more time.
It was a special time, wasn't it?
It was a special. And I was so damn lucky to have been a part of it.
All right, what do you want to tell the people back home? What do you want to say to them?
I want to thank the viewers, the people of Western New York, for giving me a life that I could never have dreamed of.
We really miss you, and don't forget that we all love you, Irv, okay?
Thank you.
Pretty beautiful stuff. It really is. And you had a wonderful chance to get to visit him for his last TV interview in California. And how was that?
Yeah, I was so lucky to go out there as soon as we heard that he wasn't well a year ago, October. And I went right out there, and he could still speak, and he couldn't walk anymore. As you saw, we wheeled him around in his wheelchair. And but then in the last few months, he progressed, the disease progressed. He couldn't get out of bed. Couldn't speak anymore. He used to email us, but then he couldn't work the thing, the keyboard anymore. And then he couldn't eat anymore, regular food. So I didn't think it would be this soon, but
Yep. Yeah, over the last 6 months, it has taken a turn. But, you know, after your interview, his son told me this afternoon, that is when hundreds of letters would pour in, wishing Irv well and just sending love from Buffalo. You know, Irv had 3 children, his son Mark, as I mentioned. He was actually in Buffalo for the Christmas holiday when he got the call that his dad had passed away. And he says if not at his dad's bedside, there was no more appropriate place to learn of his passing.
All weekend long, everywhere we've gone, people have expressed how much they're thinking about Irv and how much they miss him and love him, and that has really been heartwarming in the biggest way. And then to get the shocking news this morning and going back, it's all feels so poignant to us to be in Buffalo on this day, feeling the cold winter breeze.
Sure is poignant. And Keith, you spoke with Tom Joles in the hours after we found out.
Yeah, as we know, it was Irv, Rick, and Tom for all those years, and Tom is still here. I spoke with Tom on the phone from his home here in Western New York today when we heard the news.
Yes, it is, Keith. First of all, I just want to give my condolences to Elaine and to Beth and Rachel and Mark. We worked together for over 40 years, and the friendship was more than just that. It was a bond that most people never realize until it's too late. You know, it's funny, we used to talk about stuff like this, and how we would react and how it would happen, but it's one thing to talk about and one thing to actually have to go through it and live it and make the most of it.
And Tom is 84 now. He's still here in Western New York, and Rick is retired down in the Carolinas. And Rick, I believe, is 88 or 89.
Keith, I grew up, you know, in Toronto watching these 3 icons, and for so long, Irv was really the face and voice of Buffalo, and it's been so much fun hearing the stories that you have shared with me about your time with Irv, because, you know, no one in this building today knows Irv better than you do. Share with us what it was like working alongside of him and all the laughs that you had.
He didn't even have to say anything. He just had to give you the look, and everyone would break up. And actually, the only time I've been on television and radio for 47 years. The only time I lost it on the air was sitting beside him. Irv and I actually co-anchored together back in the early 90s for 2 years, in between a lot of other females who co-anchored with him. And something happened, and we came back out onto us, and I couldn't hold it. And there's a tape of it around that we show at the Christmas parties and stuff. But he just looked, you know, he gave you that look, and you just broke up. And he was such a character and such a great and generous guy. I mean, I emceed a MDA ALS thing a couple of months ago here. It's out at Salvatore's, and Irv's family donated $25,000 for ALS research. Every year at the Variety Kids Telethon, Irv, I think last year he donated $20,000 or $25,000, $10,000 the year before that. So he was a great, generous guy and a wonderful character, and he was such an original. There will never be another.
Oh, well, a beautiful tribute from you today. Thank you, Keith.
Anyway, we'll have much more on our buddy Irv coming up here on 7 Eyewitness News.
Many people are leaving comments and remembrance on our Facebook page. Feel free to leave your own comments as well, as Western New York remembers the iconic Irv Weinstein.